From there, his passion took off, and now he's finding a way to give back to his community that raised him. Since then, the church has worked hard to continue the way of salvation, and it's become a tradition spanning nearly 4 decades and millions on millions of lights. And when Darcy ever had a question, she always had a partner in crime she could count on, her brother, who just so happened to work in the store next door. For many areas like Pittsburgh, this is actually continuing a trend they saw happen before the pandemic, but not just with jobs, but with sales as well. As you can see behind me, the roads are a lot more active than they were this time last year. And this is lining up with what AAA was expecting. They were estimating roughly 53 million Americans were going to be traveling this holiday weekend, which is about 13% more than happened in 2020. Investigators from Newton and Ottawa County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Seneca Police Department, responded. After searching the building, officials did not find a suspect inside. Last year, it was a little more virtual than what we're used to back in October, but now it's changed up from what it was.
Sure, absolutely, and that the community has told us they're ready to see the return of this event. It's something that we've been doing here for 15 years now. That's hard to believe. This is the 16th annual event, and last year, obviously, the pandemic forced us to scale back a little bit, but with Julie's leadership this year, it is bigger and better than ever.
And it seems like it's been a fantastic time. We have the return of the business decorating contest, and Julie herself has some very important results for us that we're going to be getting live on air. Julie, who are our winners this year?
I do.
The goal is to help expand access to fresh produce to the places that need it most, regardless of the time of year.
Kansas was the perfect opportunity to start producing some fresh food for the community versus having it trucked in.
You could still truck in the farm, however. Brad Forby has created a compact version of the typical farm. He's growing acres of food in a climate-controlled shipping container in Pittsburgh, Kansas.
And what we're starting to do is on-site food production, where we're going to grow food year-round, regardless of weather, regardless of the climate, and start producing about 1,000 heads of lettuce a week.
Forby is focused on helping cities outside of Pittsburgh as well. He's been reaching out to Cherokee and Bourbon County city governments and organizations to find a way to expand access to fresh produce.
Much of Cherokee County is considered a food desert, so anything that we can do to improve access to fresh and healthy foods, of course, we're interested in that.
We think there's a need, and the need is going to be for micro farming, something that can just be supported by the local community that doesn't have that opportunity for a large grocery store to come in.
Officials are hoping future projects with leafy green farms could help cut down the cost of produce.
Often the unhealthy stuff is the cheaper stuff. We're all ears, and we're definitely excited to find any organizations or groups that are trying to promote the consumption of healthy fruits and vegetables.
We really want that reach of good, clean food. We want people to start thinking, hey, Southeast Kansas can produce food year-round. What else can we do? How can we start supporting the restaurants here, giving them something on the menu that no one else in the state even has?
I've got a lot of stuff in here. I don't have transportation. I'm having to wait for somebody to get off work to come and help me, and if they even will help me.
The Pittsburgh Regency Inn & Suites had entered into a partnership with the Kansas Statewide Homeless Coalition, agreeing to house the homeless in empty motel rooms. However, recently the coalition has failed to compensate the motel.
What we have not gotten paid so far is roughly $70,000, because we had a lot of clients here. So it's a substantial amount of money. Expenses like any other business has.
Regency had waited days for a payment, then a week, and now more than a month and a half later, it is forced to remove the homeless residents staying at the motel.
We've been trying to be very patient, but we do have our employees to pay, our bills to pay. We hate to see the clients leave, but we have no choice.
Regency was informed the agreement had ended, leaving several people with little time to find somewhere to go.
The motel's giving us a place to stay. They're supposed to pay the motel, but they're not paying the motel. Now the motel's kicked us out. And, I mean, there's like a lot of families that ain't got nowhere to go, so what do we do?
Right now, I have no idea. There's a possibility that I'll be living out my car or so whatsoever until something comes up.
Everybody needs a chance. Everybody needs help.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Steffen, KSN Local News.
She wanted to believe that somewhere out there Buzz was still alive. And one of these days he was going to come home and knock on the door and say, "Here I am."
It was a moment of closure for the Barnett family. For 8 decades following the attack on Pearl Harbor, William L. Barnett was declared missing in action.
He was assigned to the West Virginia, and it was bombed.
His fate was left a mystery. For several families like the Barnetts, it's something that has stayed with them for generations.
So many families that lost people at Pearl Harbor, you just couldn't come to terms with it. I mean, it just so sudden came out of nowhere. So many families just didn't want to believe that something like this could happen, especially if there wasn't a body. And that's what plagued my grandmother, his mother, for so many years.
But there was a light at the end of the tunnel.
I was contacted several years ago by the Department of the Navy who wanted my DNA, which I did. And then several years go by and I never hear anything. So I figured, well, out of all the remains, there wasn't any matches.
Luckily, that isn't where the story ends. As of September 14th last year, William's body was finally identified, and on Friday, he was laid to rest in the Fort Scott National Cemetery, finally giving the Barnett family the closure they had wanted for so long.
I could never hardly express how grateful I am to the Navy that after all these years, this ceremony, they treated him like he died yesterday, you know, after all this time.
Reporting in Fort Scott, Steffen Reels, KSN Local News.
Now, from the station you count on for local news that matters, this is KSN, your local news weekend.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Steffen Reels. One suspect is behind bars and another is on the loose after a robbery in Pittsburgh. 33-year-old Jeremiah Wools of Pittsburgh faces multiple charges, including battery, robbery, and burglary. He's being held in the Crawford County Jail on a $50,000 bond. Around 4:30 Tuesday afternoon, Pittsburgh police responded to the 1000 block of East 16th Street. A man told officers that while he was in the shed behind a home, two men came in and assaulted him. He says the two suspects stole his cell phone and cash and left the area. Police arrested Wools yesterday afternoon, but are still looking for the second suspect. Authorities are investigating a suspected burglary at the old Mill Knot plant in Seneca. Around 4 this afternoon, authorities received a call that someone had broke into the old Mill Knot plant. Investigators from Newton and Ottawa County Sheriff's Office, as well as the Seneca Police Department, responded. After searching the building, officials did not find a suspect inside. Officials say it appears the break-in happened on the Oklahoma side of the building, so the investigation will be handled by the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office. Development was the topic for community leaders this afternoon in Webb City. This year marked the return of the State of the City address at the Chamber Membership Luncheon. It was canceled last year due to the pandemic. City leaders today highlighted all the progress the city has made. It's seen an 18% increase in population according to the latest census, and sales has also been successful, with the city seeing its highest records in tax revenue.
We have a philosophy here in Webb City that our schools, our business community, and the city work together as a unified entity. And because of that, our good school system attracts people, our chamber and business community attract more businesses, and our government tries to do all it can to make the way clear for both of those to prosper well.
Ragsdale says there's still a lot Webb City can look forward to, including housing and business development, and numerous projects in Centennial Park. A new downtown Joplin landmark hits the 60% completion mark. The Harry M. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex at 7th Street between Joplin and Walls Avenue is now getting sited. The north wall is finishing up with the west side next, then the east side to follow. Siding will wrap up on the south side as it gets closer to opening later this year. The new home for Spiva Center of the Arts and Connect to Culture will also feature the 450-seat Be Shore Performance Hall. The multi-million-dollar project has everyone involved highly anticipating its fall 2022 opening date, in part thanks to the financial support from the community.
Our expanded goal is $17.5 million, and we are now officially over $17 million in those commitments. We thank the City of Joplin for this donation of the land that we are standing on, and we just look forward to what we're going to bring to the downtown community.
Exterior landscaping work still needs to be done to the south of the complex to make way for the Leggett and Platt Green. The ground will be lowered and sloped more than 4 feet for a 2,000-person capacity outdoor amphitheater. Coming up, Ben Kushnikavich has all the weather details you need to start your work week. Plus, U.S. officials are weighing their options as the situation between Russia and Ukraine intensifies. That's next on KSN, local news at 10.
This is KSN Local News Weekend.